Do you know how to use these 4 verbs correctly? English learners often mix them up and use the wrong verb. Let's look at what these verbs mean in more detail and how you can use them correctly when you speak English. Part 1. Say. Let's start at the very beginning. What does say mean? The most important point about say, you always say something. The simplest way to use say is to explain the words that someone used. He said, "Good morning." They said, "Go away and never come back." You can also use say when you explain what someone said in your own words. Maria said that she wants to get a new job. Everyone says that it's the best restaurant in town. You can use that after saying these sentences, or you can leave it out. It makes no difference. A common mistake with say is something like this. She said me not to be late. Why is this wrong? Remember, you always say something. The next word after say can't be the person you're talking to. If you want to express who you're talking to, use to. For example, he said good morning to each person in the room. They said something very rude to us. Even in these sentences, we are still focusing on what you say. The person you're talking to is extra information, it's not the focus of the sentence. To review, you use say to talk about what someone said. After the verb say, you need to explain what the person said, using the person's exact words or using your own words. Next, let's look at tell. Tell is a little more complicated than say because it can be used in many different ways. First, let's look at the most important difference between say and tell. Often, when we use tell, we tell someone. For example, she told me not to be late. They told me that I needed to buy a new phone. Mark told me about what happened. Here you can see 3 common ways to use tell. You can tell someone to do something. This means you give someone a command or order. I told him to be here on time. My manager told me to finish this by Friday. You can use tell someone plus that. Remember that that is optional plus a clause. Emma told me that she wants to move to Italy. He told me that he couldn't come because his cat was ill. You can tell someone about something. This means you give someone information about something. She told me about her trip to Thailand. The man told me all about the application process. Tell is also used in certain phrases. Tell a story, tell the truth, tell a lie, tell a secret. Except for these phrases, remember to put a person after tell. Don't say, he told that he was planning to ask her on a date, or Jill told about her experiences working for an airline. Can you see the problem? We need to put a person after tell. You should say, he told me that he was planning to ask her on a date. Jill told us about her experiences working for an airline. Of course, you don't have to use me or us. It could be a different person, but you do need to put a person after tell in these sentences. What about speak? Like tell, speak can be used in many different ways. However, unlike say and tell, speak can be used without an object. You have to say something and tell someone, but you can use speak to just mean communicating with others. For example, he's really quiet. He doesn't speak much. I was so tired, I could hardly speak. In a similar way, you can use speak to mean that you deliver a speech or a presentation, or something like that. I get nervous about speaking in public. Several people spoke during the meeting. Again, we can use speak in this way without an object, or anything else after the verb. However, we can also use speak in other ways. You can speak to someone, speak about something, or even speak to someone about something. All of these have similar meanings. They mean to communicate with others, in a more general way. Using speak in these ways is usually less specific than using say or tell. For example, have you spoken to her yet? During his presentation, he spoke about the challenges facing the company. We'll have to speak to him about the complaints from his teachers. In American English, speak with someone is sometimes used instead of speak to. The meaning is the same. When we use say or tell, we usually focus on a specific piece of information. Speak is more general. If you speak to someone, you don't just say one thing. You have a conversation. Compare two sentences. Have you told her yet? Have you spoken to her yet? Can you see the difference? Have you told her yet? It's about one piece of information. The speaker wants to know if you've given her this information or not. It's a more specific question. Have you spoken to her yet is more general. If I say this, I want to know if you've communicated with her, if you've had a conversation with her. It's more open, and we're not focusing so much on what the conversation is about. There's one more way to use speak. You also use speak with languages. For example, can you speak Spanish? Ed speaks really good Japanese. Finally, let's look at our last verb, talk. Talk and speak can be confusing because they're often used in the same way. However, they're not 100% the same, so you need to be careful. Let's look at our examples with speak. He's really quiet. He doesn't speak much. I was so tired I could hardly speak. What do you think? Do you think you could use talk instead of speak in these sentences? Yes, you could. The meaning would be the same. What about these? Have you spoken to her yet? During his presentation, he spoke about the challenges facing the company. We have to speak to him about the complaints from his teachers. Could you use talk instead of speak? Yes, you could, and again, it wouldn't change the meaning. Have you talked to her yet? During his presentation, he talked about the challenges facing the company. We'll have to talk to him about the complaints from his teachers. So what's the difference? First of all, talk is generally more informal than speak. Have you spoken to her yet? Have you talked to her yet? Although the basic meaning is the same, there could be a small difference in the tone. Using speak suggests you need to have a more serious conversation with her. Using talk suggests that you just want to chat to her about something, not necessarily something important. Here's another example to show this difference. We talked while we ate. We spoke while we ate. The first sentence, we talked while we ate, suggests a friendly, social meeting. Maybe you're having lunch with your friend. The second sentence, we spoke while we ate, suggests a more formal meeting. Maybe you're having a business lunch with a client or colleague. Another difference, we don't use talk to mean give a speech or make a presentation like we do with speak. So in these two sentences, I got very nervous about speaking in public. Several people spoke during the meeting. You can't use talk instead of speak, because only speak has the meaning of giving a speech, a presentation, or something like that. Actually, you could use talk in these sentences, but the meaning would change. Can you see how? I get nervous about talking in public. Several people talked during the meeting. I get nervous about talking in public means that I feel nervous about having a conversation with someone in a public place. Even a one-to-one conversation. Confused? You should be. It's a strange thing to say. Several people talked during the meeting means that several people had conversations with each other during the meeting. They weren't making presentations or talking to the whole group. Again, although the sentence is grammatically correct, it has a clear meaning. It's a strange thing to say. We also don't use talk with languages. You can't say, I can talk French. You only use speak. Part 5. Review. Say focuses on what someone said, the exact words, or the exact ideas that came out of someone's mouth. Tell focuses on giving information or commands to another person. There are also set phrases like tell a lie, tell a story, which you have to remember. Speak is more general. It doesn't focus on one particular sentence or one specific piece of information. If you speak to someone, you might talk about many different topics. Speak can also mean to give a speech or presentation, or something similar. Talk is similar to speak and can be used in many of the same ways. However, talk is generally more informal than speak, and there are some uses of speak where you can't use talk. That's the end of the lesson. Do you want more practice on this topic? Check out the full version of the lesson on our website, oxfordonlineenglish.com. The full lesson includes notes and a quiz to help you remember what we've learnt about today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.